レッズで長年活躍し、通算2135安打、356本塁打を誇るジョーイ・ボット氏が、米ポッドキャスト番組レーツ&バレルズに出演。番組内でボット氏は、2024年に現役を引退した後、世界各国を旅して日本にも3ヶ月滞在し、ある資格を取得したことを告白。さらに話題は大谷選手へと移り、ボット氏は全てを持っている選手と高く評価し、その偉大さを熱く語りました。その模様を日本語字幕付きでご紹介しますので、ぜひ最後までご覧ください。
So, look, last time you were here it was a few days after you announced you were retiring, and you laid out lots of fun stuff and interesting stuff you thought that you'd like to do. So, what have you done over these last, 20, 21 months?
Right. I've pretty much traveled the world.
Yeah.
More or less, my mother had a ankle reconstruction, and I was there for her rehab immediately after my retirement, and I tended to her care for the first 3 weeks or so. And like a good boy, I asked permission. Hey, can I leave now? Are you okay enough that I can leave now?
Yeah.
And she said yes. And I hopped on a plane and I started in Italy, and I spent 3 months in Japan. I spent a ton of time in Europe. I visited the Auschwitz, Auschwitz-Birkenau. I've seen Petra in Jordan. I've been to all kinds of stuff and all the stuff to visit in Egypt. I've got my sushi chef accreditation from
Oh my gosh.
the Japanese government. I got a yoga teacher certification in Cadiz, Spain. I've been all over. I spent tons of time in Spain, Mexico, continuing to refine my Spanish, and I just had a really lovely time exploring and trying the very best I could to small myself. And I think exposing yourself to the world and realizing how so few people care. And, I think it helped my well-being, and I've come back and now I'm still motivated to continue to explore the world, but right now I'm stable right here.
Well, Joey, maybe, you explain Shohei Ohtani's international impact and world impact. Can you explain what he is able to do on a field? I mean, I'm trying to understand, he's in the Cy Young race right now, clearly, maybe a leader, and what he's been able to do 50-50. I mean, can you summarize what we're looking at here?
Well, I think he'll probably end up, I think he's at 142 WRC plus. So there's a pretty good chance when it's all said and done, he'll be the best hitter in the sport, if not second behind Aaron Judge, which is crazy to think how these guys have been dominant for such a nice stretch of time. As far as what he does on the field, he does everything. He can do anything. He has every tool in the toolbox, and he's also inventing tools. How do you steal 50 bases and then also also hit 50 homers, and then do it in the most dramatic of ways, and just be so poised and so steady with his personality? He's a fantastic teammate. This goes, I think, unappreciated at times, how beloved he is, how excited. You just see on the pan to the bench, Doug, and I think you'll agree with this, but when they pan to the bench after he does something, the two reactions are mostly, I'm witnessing history in a Dodgers uniform. You're Miguel Rojas or you're Will Smith,
Yeah.
and you're in a Dodgers uniform. You're a major league highly accomplished player making, real money, and you're like, I'm seeing something. I'm watching history. I'm watching one of the greats. I'm watching Michael Jordan right now. I'm watching, one of the sports greats. But then you're like, he's a good dude. I want to cheer for him because he's on my team, and then you see opponents even, they're in awe and they're not feeling. It's not, he's not the sort of guy where, this is complimentary. I love Juan Soto. Juan Soto might be my favorite player in the sport. I love him, but it's because he'll challenge you. He'll challenge you. He'll test you. And that to me is what Shohei Ohtani does not do, what I love about Juan Soto. But even opponents love Shohei Ohtani. And I think that the base is, of course, offensive, pitching. It doesn't stop, but I think the thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is how fantastic of a teammate he is. I mean, he's got everything going for him.
I'd love to have you tell us one Shohei moment from when you were roaming around Japan. Were you in a place where Shohei came up to bat, for example, and then everything stopped?
Interesting you asked that question. So the timing of Dodgers games is approximately 11 o'clock in the morning in Japan. I injured my intercostal, my rib, surfing when I was in Sri Lanka. I was in Sri Lanka for a month surfing, and I flew to Tokyo after, and it was really bothering me. So I had to get physical therapy in Tokyo. So I ended up going 2 or 3 times a week to a local physical therapist just for some treatment. And every day while I was laying on the table, they had the game on, and it was always the Dodgers game. And I always timed it. I didn't intentionally time it, but for some reason the game was on when I was there. And it's not even that. Of course, there's a stopping moment when he's because you only get 4 or 5 at-bats, plate appearances per day. But it's just more like, I don't know. It's almost like it's in the flow of he's done it for so long that the greatness is expected. And watching, I mean, he's, I think at year 8 of his career, I'm almost for sure wrong on that, but he's 31 years old and he's been around for a long time, and he's so great. He's made it mundane. And so while I was laying on the table watching it, I'm like locked in because I think he's must see TV. And they were watching, and they were, casual, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't, but I think it's because he's just so common there. He's just like, you'll turn your shoulder and it's Shohei Ohtani on a billboard, or he's on the product you buy at CVR, so Walgreens there sort of thing, or he's on your rice ball sort of thing. So I think it's almost like they're not tired of, I don't want to speak to their mindset, but it's just, he's everywhere. He's just everywhere, including, in a Dodgers uniform.
Yeah. And then, well, you talk about that greatness, and I know you always had a great admiration for greatness. You said there's hitters that you used to watch when you were playing. Can you give us a sense of what you see, even just mechanically, from Ohtani? Like what stands out that whether you would try to replicate or you're just trying to figure out how this guy does it?
There's only one example of his particular style. I don't think I see very many other offensive players that move like he does. And his head doesn't move. If you were to look from the side, his head doesn't move. And some hitters, their heads go forward and back. You can think Caminero from the Rays, or Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. And some hitters are fixed. You can think Kurtz from the Athletics, or Aaron Judge from the Yankees. But Shohei also doesn't move. But he doesn't take a stride. He does a little toe, like a toe. He gets up on his front toe, and it's like he coils, not just back, but also like down. It's almost like a screwing move back, and then he comes out. But when he comes out of his like loading move, he doesn't lose energy by coming up or coming out. It's almost like he goes back into a reverse ground force sort of screwing move into the ground, and he's able to take all of that. I'm going to get this wrong, but potential energy, and turn it into his swing. And I think he's got fantastic balance, and I don't understand how a guy can have the bat straight up and down and far away from him, but then also be able to tip it and deliver it with such accuracy. He does have a bit of a strikeout rate, but I bet you if there was some sort of comparison with like how accurate of a barrel relative to swing length and swing speed, he's probably as efficient as it gets. The fellow from the Tigers, I read an article the other day. I think his last name is McGonigal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I was going to ask you if you've watched him.
He's fantastic, and but he's a smaller guy, and his swing is built to match his physical, his build. But it's like, and he's got excellent contact. But it's like Shohei is that, but 6'4" and 245 pounds or whatever he is, and he runs the best and throws the best. And I don't understand how he does so well against left-handed. I know why he does so well against left-handed pitching, but that's a key to why he's able to get. When I played, I always thought if I could OPS 900 and above, or 1,000, or mostly 900 and above against left-handers, I would be in the conversation for winning a most valuable player. I'd be in the conversation for best offensive player, and that to me is why he's so special. He doesn't struggle with splits. He dominates left-handed pitching because right-handed pitching, as you've seen. He had a bit of a slow start this year, but right-handed pitching is a 1 week good stretch. You match up against a bunch of right-handed pitching, and he homers 9 times in 10 days, and then all of a sudden he's slugging 620, and he's it happens so quickly against right-handed pitching, and it gets out of hand, right, left, right, especially if you're a power guy, because that's what we were built to dominate. But if you can compete at a really high level against left-handed pitching, I never worried about how I would play as long as I played well against left-handed pitching, and I don't think there's many examples of guys that are typically left dominant that play every single day.
最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。今回の動画についてどういう感想を持たれましたか？ぜひコメント欄で意見や感想をお聞かせください。チャンネル登録やグッドボタンを押していただけると励みになります。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。